Now my friend on the shot. All I see now your way. Girl, come on, you make me dance. I like the way your body stand back from you. Baby, come juggle up from you. Make your body move from me. Baby, come jump back from you.
What do you do? You get the song for a kilometer before you see my video.
And there you have it, man. Welcome back. You're watching TrendingSA on SABC3 and on the stream, we are TrendingSA.tv. Time right now to get into a couple of updates from the weekend, and Sue Schooley has got us on this one.
Right, guys, here's a nutshell on Mnangagwa hashtag, right? ZANU-PF and MDC Alliance were the front runners in the recent Zimbabwe national elections, right? Zimbabweans voted and ZANU-PF won, right? MDC Alliance disputed the results. Violence ensues. The Concord heard the dispute and sustained the election results. Yesterday, Izolo, Emerson Mnangagwa was sworn in as the president of Zimbabwe at the National Stadium and trended to no end. Nice one. It was a star-studded affair with a number of African leaders in attendance for Mnangagwa's inauguration, from the Rwandan president, the DRC president, Zambian president, even our own hashtag Tumamina President Ramaphosa, that is Cyril for those who are not sure. With all the attention on the Zimbabwe and President Mnangagwa, it was the judges who conducted the swearing who took the spotlight. Twitter was buzzing with posts about their wigs. That's strong in. Mona, but see, black ball pen. I cringe every time I see these judges. Why do they have to put themselves through this? Those blonde wigs look ridiculous. Ditch these now. Decolonize yourself, Africa, please. Hashtag Zimbabwe Mnangagwa. Hashtag Zim inauguration. Jolly Goodfellow says everything that's wrong in Africa begins with these wigs. They need to be burned. Hashtag Mnangagwa. Now Elton Shoniwa says, you have wigs on, but you have issues with these judges. Hashtag Mnangagwa.
Ouch, burn.
Is that to us?
Those are really ugly wigs. That's the difference.
Those are really ugly wigs, and they're really colonial, and they probably smell of Jan van Riebeeck and the Queen.
But we also can't have a problem with it because we are wearing.
No. This is not. This is from a beautiful Indian woman.
Well, there's been so much said about the Zimbabwean elections and the decision for the Concord to uphold the election results. There are MDC Alliance claims of foul play and tempering of ballots by the ZANU-PF and the Zimbabwean Electoral Commission.
Sure.
There were also issues about the numbers of votes and the numbers of registered voters not corresponding, actually, and the whole debacle has led many to believe that MDC Alliance's charge that Mnangagwa may have bought the Concord's loyalty, and thus their decision to uphold the results. Now, a few people had a lot to say about the elections results situation on Twitter, but it is at Lauren Pin DC who posted some of the most fascinating views. Take a look at this. She says, in Kenya, the court ordered the IEBC to open its servers. Its failure to do so was one of the grounds on which the election was overturned. In Zimbabwe, on the other hand, the court ignored the MDC's request for a server audit, but faulted them for insufficient evidence. The last tweet from Lauren Pindisi says, in a maths test, you can't change your answers after the fact, right? ZEC did. In a maths test, your figures have to add up. ZEC's didn't. It failed to account for the 40,000 vote gap between PAL and PRES ballots cast. In a maths test, facts, aka results, are based on figures.
Now, something I found quite interesting were the views of the Zimbabweans who are on Twitter and what they had to say about this. Of course, tweets came through on this, and this one was from Rukutso. And it says, Dear E.D. Mnangagwa, no amount of flowery speeches and sophistication can make us love or support you. For we, the ordinary people of Zimbabwe, know what truly is behind that shiny suit. You can fool some in the international community, but not us. Another one that followed this was from Baba Jugwa that says, Dear Minister Kikaba, this is my official denouncement of my Zimbabwean citizenship. From now on, I no longer want to be Zimbabwean. Please help us to how should I go about entertaining of the South African Green Book or Smart Card. Yours, African Child, hashtag Mnangagwa. Quite interesting. Now moving on to another hashtag, of course, from the weekend, Nina Hasty.
Look, we're going to move on to some sad and disturbing news from this weekend. Mama Sobukwe's funeral trended on my timeline, and unfortunately, it was for the wrong reasons. Now, Mum Veronica Zondeni Sobukwe passed away last Wednesday. She was a hero in the struggle against apartheid and the wife to anti-apartheid activist and founder of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, or as we call it, the PAC, Robert Sobukwe. Now, in light of Mama Sobukwe's work in the struggle, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa granted an official state funeral for Mama Sobukwe, but things quickly took a turn when members of the PAC disrupted funeral proceedings and brought the funeral to a standstill. Now, when PAC members argued that the ANC was hijacking the moment and that Mama Sobukwe belongs to the PAC and should have been given a PAC send-off, which led to Deputy President David Mabuza and other state officials to withdraw from the funeral, and the state funeral protocol was abandoned. So Mum Veronica Sobukwe did not receive an official state funeral, rather got a PAC send-off. But let's watch the clip of actually what went down, because it's a little bit upsetting.
This is an official funeral. Its decision was taken together with the organization Kamama, the family.
At the center of the chaos demands that Sobukwe's casket be draped in the PAC flag and not the South African one.
Absolutely disturbing is what's going on there. Grown adults, men, women, being very political about something that shouldn't be, something that should be very emotional. And you mentioned something, that's the issue of state protocol for funerals and things like that. So once something has been announced, so someone passes away and they say there's a state funeral or an official funeral that is recognized by the state, there's certain procedures and protocols that need to be followed. So certain speakers will come in and there's an order that needs to be followed in the day. And this has happened before. Like, for instance, former leader of the PAC, Ubabu Philip Khosane, passed away last year and was given an official send-off by the state. But the PAC, which is his party, was well represented. If you haven't seen it, take a look.
The PAC will serve, suffer, and sacrifice. This put him in a unique place above most of us.
So as you can see, that is an official funeral with the party, PAC, being well recognized there. And I guess in this case, it was totally something different.
It was absolutely, like you said, it was quite disturbing. I mean, like I said, these are adults, there's a time and a place for everything. And, they should have just, they should have had a decent conversation beforehand instead of embarrassing themselves like this.
Makes sense. I just feel bad for the family members, the aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings who were present at the funeral. Because the last thing you need is that happening when you're trying to give your loved one a dignified send-off. You don't want to politicize everything. She did belong to her family ultimately, right?
Yeah. I think she belonged to her family, but the PAC was founded by her husband. The PAC was her family, was everything that she stood for. Her values were married to the party. It was political due to the nature of who she was in the space, and you can't escape that. But it was just distasteful having that kind of political dynamic in a space that needs utmost respect. I mean, it's always to make a frivolous metaphor. It would be like having Bonang MC Zintle's wedding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't make
sense.
Like
it's just too complicated.
Yeah. Very tricky indeed. But look, it happened, and of course there are other things that were in and around the story.
Yeah. Some of the PAC leadership were present at the funeral. I also actually saw a non-verified PAC Twitter page that shared a slew of tweets to try to explain the behavior of the PAC at the funeral. I'm only going to read 2 tweets from that page. It reads, before the start of the funeral, the MC shouted, Amandla, not Izwe lethu. Foreign language is unacceptable in PAC code circles. Obviously, that is unacceptable according to PAC codes. You don't say Amandla, you say Izwe lethu. It continues to read, formal requests were made to co-chair with Comrade Nosiviwe, but cold water was thrown. In essence, government went to hijack Mama's funeral. Let me read the next one. It reads, government even asked the PAC to hide PAC flags. Our only crime is the request to bury Mama the African way, which is the PAC way. The media failed to provide Sobukwe while she was alive, or to profile rather. And even today, no news page profiles positive messages. All speakers spoke and they spoke well.
Can I ask, what does Izweletu mean?
So it's like
Our nation.
our
Our
land.
nation, our
Yeah.
nation. So Pan-African. Okay. Yeah. Look, I mean, if this is something that you lived by, shouldn't it be something that should be recognized as you are buried? I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they had time?
Time.
They had time.
Lots and lots of time, I felt, to put this together and make it happen the way that it should have been done, which is a dignified and the right way.
Budwam, as a journalist, we write people's obituaries decades before they pass away. There is always time.
Yeah. Anyway, it's time for us to go for an ad break right now. We'll continue having this discussion with regards to how we can better ourselves as people. But if you go for an ad break, we'll see you after this.